got your moderator. He is Director of Planet Productions, David Nieves.
Hey, what's up, Kansas City? You having a good Saturday? Yeah. All right, just one thing. If you are in the back, come a little bit closer because you're going to want to be part of this. So in just a second, I am going to bring out who you all came to see. I just want to ask real quick, is Kansas City a wrestling town? Yeah. Come on. All right, it is my pleasure and abuse of power to be able to introduce Leva Bates and the AEW Women's World Champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD!
I didn't know we were both doing. Hi, I'm here.
Leva is also here.
I was talking.
All right, so we are all elite wrestling fans here. Something big happened last night. I think it's the elephant in the room that we need to address. What are both of your thoughts on the return of CM Punk last night?
I think it's AEW continuing to change professional wrestling for the better. It's just another, notch that we're checking off. It's a very big one at that, but Tony Khan is a genius, but not only that, he's a wrestling fan. So when you have somebody that's like you and I, when we're all wrestling fans, who's running the show, he's gonna put out a product that he would wanna watch, that I would wanna watch, and that's why you all are watching it and loving it, because, the inmates are essentially running the asylum, but it's working.
Yeah, Leva, how was that atmosphere last night in the United States?
It was amazing. Being backstage, like right before we went through the curtains, we were both back there with, the EVPs and just a bunch of people. You could just feel the electricity, just kind of just buzzing between everyone, because we were making history, we knew this moment was going to happen, and it was funny because Thunder Rosa almost made Punk cry before he went out. He's like, don't do it, don't say it, don't say it. She's like, welcome back. He's like, don't say it, you're going to make me cry.
All right, that's awesome.
Cool.
And
It's so much, it's just so exciting. It was so much fun.
I felt the thunder of that entrance before, so I know exactly what you're saying. So now that we have the stars of the women's division, I do want to talk about AEW's women's division. Seems since a little pay-per-view called Double or Nothing, this women's division has elevated so much. What do you both attribute that elevation to?
Me. I won the title, and ever since I said, this is the era of the DMD, and I said I was gonna do it, and here we are. And we're gonna keep rising up the ranks. We have a new hour of TV every Friday called Rampage. It's an extra hour for more women's matches. We have wonderful women's talent. Just keep watching, because you guys are gonna love what's coming up as far as the women's division goes.
All these girls are super, super hungry. We work on a weekly basis, training really, really hard, bettering ourselves, working on our craft, working on our characters, working on everything. So we're not complacent at all. There's nothing complacent about AEW or its women's division. So we're definitely always striving to better ourselves.
It's awesome. And so from Dr. Britt Baker, you recently defended that title on the first Rampage, and now we're heading into All Out again. Who's on your little hit list that we can expect you to face off for the title again?
I don't have a hit list, I'm the champ. Okay, so they can all come for it, that's great, and I'll send them home one by one. Chris Statlander's been getting her nose involved quite a bit. Ty Connie's always there, she has a great record, and I know in the background, gunning for me eventually is going to be Thunder Rosa again. So I'm not sure who it's going to be for the pay-per-view, but I would say one of those three, and any one of them, come on in. All three of them, I don't care.
I think it's more, instead of her hit list, everyone has her on their hit list. I think that's how it is.
You're the champ, you're carrying
She's the one with the bullseye on her back called a belt.
So I did want to talk, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about a little place that's near and dear to me because I saw so many shows there and I love it. A little place called Wrestle Circus, which actually was, there was a moment where you won the tag team champions with someone else who we all know in this crowd. Tell me what that night was like for you, winning those titles with... Audience, do you want to say it? You're gonna say Adam Cole? There we go.
Yeah, so that was a really fun time because that was, he had just finished his time with Ring of Honor, and him and I knew he was signing with NXT, but nobody else did. So he wanted to just kind of do some indie shows with me because it was going to be our last little time, at least for a while, to get to work together. So Wrestle Circus brought us in as a tag team first. We wrestled with Sami Callihan and Jess Havoc, had a blast. And then when they told us we were going to challenge for the titles against Rocky Romero and Trent, that was so cool because I'm like a New Japan fan, so I thought that was cool just to be in the ring with them. And then we won the titles. It was, I mean, Wrestle Circus is a smaller promotion in Texas, but they make, the fans make it sound like there was like 3,000 people in there. They were such a loud, energetic, Texas crazy wrestling fan base. It was such a fun environment when I actually got the pin. And when we won the titles, it was so cool. Probably never happen again because intergender wrestling is you know, a little bit taboo in modern wrestling, but it was cool to have that moment.
Awesome. So cutting back into AEW, at the beginning, Leva, something I've always been curious about. You came in as the librarian through a little show called Being the Elite. We run a little contest. Were you always supposed to be the librarian, or was that a real contest?
No. A little tidbit, I've actually said this, so I can say this now. I would actually hit up just from Cody, be like, hey, we're looking for a few celebrity entrants to be the librarian. Would you mind doing that? You know, well, we just really appreciate it. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. No interest, you know, not no interest, but no thought of me being a librarian. I already heard rumblings, I already had a librarian, so I'm like, okay, cool. You know how the rumblings are, internet rumblings. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So I put the video out there and got a lot of buzz. It was pretty cool. I'm like, yay!
And
my stock's going up. And then, funny story was, I get a text a month later from Cody. Our plan worked. Huh? What plan? And then a little bit later, talent relations texts me, hey, is this still Leva Bates' phone? Yeah? I would like to offer you a contract to be the librarian. What? Are you serious? So no, there was I had no idea this was gonna happen. Like apparently this plan that Cody had was all in his head and I wasn't privy to it until actually it worked. I was like, yeah, well, we didn't want to get your hopes up.
Yeah, and I've gotten to interview Cody a couple times for different publications, and I seem to get that he keeps all the plans in his head and not on paper.
Yes.
And he doesn't share them, apparently.
Yes.
But
and that was one of those times he goes, our plan worked. I'm like, what plan?
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I'm pretty sure Peter was the librarian from the get-go, and then I edged my way in. Make him share that.
You know, we're kind of happy that you're the only librarian right now.
I am the only librarian. There can be only one.
There can. So, Britt, I want to talk about, before we had Chicago, we were in your hometown of Pittsburgh. You got to be the hometown... Pittsburgh.
Yes.
You got to be the hometown hero, and normally in wrestling, the hometown hero doesn't get to come out on top.
No, that's in one company, not in
No, right. What was that night like for you from start to finish?
It wasn't even the night, it was the whole week. I got flown in early and I did, it was 21 interviews between news and radio and media in 2 days. We had Dynamite on Wednesday where I got to cut a promo in front of all of Pittsburgh with the terrible towels. I got to throw the first pitch for the Pittsburgh Pirates on Thursday, and then to cap it off Friday, I got to have a title defense, and it was almost sold out. I mean, that place was crazy, and it was so loud. I was nervous because Rampage is a later show, it starts at 10. They had 2 hours of dark matches before the show started. So what you saw on TV, these people had already sat through like 13 dark matches, and they were still electric. So we're just so thankful for the fans we have, and again, for who we work for, because Tony Khan made all of that possible, and he comes out before every show and gives the fans a little pep talk, and I think that really matters to show you, like, yeah, he's the man running the show, but he's a fan too, and he comes out there on the stage and thanks every single person, says thanks for being here, we're happy, we're all really an AEW family, everybody from top to bottom.
That's awesome. So what were both of your first impressions of Tony Khan when you first met him?
So the first time I actually met him was at the pep rally in Jacksonville when we announced what AEW was, and he was so cool. He's like, "Hey, Britt, I'm Tony. Nice to meet you. You know, I'm such a big fan," which was so cool. And early on, when I was negotiating, he was so supportive of me being a dentist, and that was it. Like for me, this guy's like a dream boss. He's gonna let me do 2 jobs, 2 plan A's. It's like he's not gonna just make me commit to him and him only. I'm not gonna be. I don't have to report to the performance center every day of the week. I get to be a dentist and then also get to wrestle on TV. So he was the perfect boss for me, in my opinion.
The first time I met him, I'll be honest, I didn't know what he looked like. So I walked, I was at the ring and I was walking down the ramp and I saw him from the back. He was wearing a blue suit with chucks, with glasses and messy hair. I swear to God, he looked like the 10th Doctor, and it was awesome. And my nerd brain went, oh my God, I'm the coolest boss ever, just because he looks like Doctor Who. So I was like, oh my God, hi. So that was like my literal first impression of him was Doctor Who, but he's just the greatest. Like he really wants to listen to us and work with us and make a good product. I mean, obviously, it's business is making money, but he wants to put out a good product, and if the product's good, then it will make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so something you touched on a little bit ago, we really haven't seen much of intergender wrestling on television lately. Do you both feel that there's a place for it on a promotion that is national, or will we just never see it?
So you've seen like kind of the mixed tag matches where the rules are like, you know, 1 in, 1 out with no intergender really interactions. Our boss Tony has been very public, very outspoken that he doesn't like intergender wrestling and he doesn't like it, thinks that it insults professional wrestling. So in that sense, we kind of have to respect him because he's the boss. Like as far as like on a smaller scale, when it's done, if it tells a good story, if it's entertaining, if it's, you know, comedic or whatever, if the heel gets heat, then sure, it's great. I'm all for it if it tells a good story, but as far as AEW, you have to respect with what the boss wants.
And also on that, it's not just him; it's sponsors. A lot of TV wrestling is tied in with networks and sponsors and stuff, and a lot of them don't like intergender wrestling. So even if, let's say, if for some reason he liked it, it would still be a really hard sell to do that because there's a lot of like interweavings that go into business and television.
And that's got to be a hard balance because it's something that the fans do, you know, they obviously want to see it, but it's also something that you have to toe the line, right?
The fans just got CM Punk, so they can calm down for a little bit, right?
And that took a long time to get there.
Right.
Yeah. So now, Britt, I want to ask about being a dentist because that is, I think your story is pretty amazing just in general. How do you just balance following 2 things that you are plan A passionate about?
It's just like really not accepting failure as an option. Like when I was in dental school and I was training to be a wrestler at the same time, I would wake up in the morning and I knew I had to do this, and this. I had to get to class, I had to go train, I had to go to the gym, I had to study, go to bed. There, that day's done. Okay, tomorrow, this is what I have to do. Because I think if at that time when I was so early on, so fresh, if I would have looked at the long-term goals, I would have just crumbled under all the stress and just what could have possibly gone wrong or what could have never been. So I think just making those little teeny tiny tick marks, like little check mark, little goals, that's how I reached the end goal. Like I wanted to win a title on an indie scene first before I got to do anything else. It's stuff like that, and now I'm the women's world champion and I have a dental practice in Orlando.
So some people really can have it all.
Yeah, well, not everyone, but I can.
So, Leva, you're in your element when you come to Comic-Cons because we've seen you be the cosplay queen of wrestling. Who's been the favorite entrance that you've done? Because I've seen you do Sandman, I've seen you do all the entrances.
It's hard. It's hard to say what my favorite is because there's been some crazy ones. Probably my favorite costume was probably my Captain Jack Sparrow, because I thought that was going to be garbage. I looked at it on the couch, and I mean, like a pirate costume, it's just a bunch of pieces thrown together. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be terrible. So I just threw it on, didn't really look at myself, and started working on the facial hair, because, you know, that's what you do. And when I took a step back, I realized how much I looked like Johnny Depp, and it was kind of awesome. So that one kind of came together surprisingly at the very last minute. So that made me super, super happy. Plus, Johnny Depp's one of my, you know, all-time crushes. So just looking like him is kind of cool. But like, yeah, one of my favorite entrances was probably the Sandman, with everyone singing and just
It's
that
just so
the crowd
easy, right?
coming
To
out
come
through
out
the
through a
crowd.
crowd and pour some beer on people. It's
It was so much fun. It's hard to just pinpoint one, because I'm like, oh man, that was good. Like yeah, there's too many to count. But yeah, Sandman's one of those, because it was just the crowd singing, and then they cut the music, and the crowd continued to sing. So it was awesome.
And that also brings up another point. And you know, we understand that on the network for Dynamite and Rampage, it's a little, you always have licenses and clearances you have to do. But on things like Dark and Elevation, would you consider doing the cosplay entrances?
I've snuck in cosplays already. I've snuck them in. I've snuck in Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park when Peter had to wrestle Luchasaurus. I've snuck in Orin High School Host Club when I managed. It was a nice, cute little school uniform. I've done Aerith from Final Fantasy VII in a promo, so I've snuck them in. You have to really, really look for them, but I'm sneaking them in.
So now that we are back in 2021, we're getting crowds. It's good to see crowds in wrestling again. It's just something that was always missing. What was the biggest challenge of doing Dynamite in 2020 with no crowd, or with minimal crowds for both of you?
For me, it's like you don't really have live feedback one way or another, and I was injured for a lot of the pandemic, so I had a lot of promo time on TV, and there's nothing, there's no response, there's no cheers, there's no boos, you have no feedback, so you kind of have to really bank on all the feedback that you get from your help on the back, and to a sense, I know it's not the end all, but it's social media, like what's working and what's not, because we didn't have live anything, no feedback, no crowd, nothing. So I think just that, like not really knowing what was working and what wasn't on a live fan base, because the fans are the heart and soul of professional wrestling. If you guys don't like it, we're not going to keep doing it. We're AEW, remember, so we're not going to keep doing it. But Leva, what do you think?
I mean, that's exactly it. We also get so much energy from an audience too. You know, you feel it. Like, maybe I'm all zen and stuff, but like I definitely feel energy coming off of them. And whether you're a good guy, bad guy, you feed off of that, as well as the reaction. Like, I mean, I've literally not in AEW, but I've been in a match where I was supposed to be the good guy and I got booed. So in the middle of the match, we're like, let's go with it, and you have to change up. But that's because the audience dictated that, not us. You have to kind of follow their lead, you know.
Isn't it so much better to be the bad guy?
Yes.
I like both. I like both. I've done more good guy than bad, so it's just now I'm second nature.
And Britt, you touched on it. For a lot of 2020, you were the role model in the wheelchair, and I think having watched you from things like Wrestle Circus through All In to where you are now, as an in-ring performer, you were always solid. But as a performer, where you put yourself out there, you have evolved leaps and bounds. What do you attribute the most to your evolution, and what gave you the notion to start doing?
So the first half of that, so it was really like utilizing the resources we have at AEW. We have so many, if you look any direction, you're gonna find like 3 legends somewhere hiding in a corner at AEW, because we're just so fortunate with everyone we get to work with. And Tony Khan really, he had a lot of faith in me from day one, even when I had no idea what I was doing, because I got plucked off the indies. I was wrestling in front of like 200 people to wrestling in front of almost 1 million people at home watching, and it's really hard to just learn on live TV. Like Dynamite was my performance center. My success, my failures, everything was on live TV. But the good thing is the people in the back, they were always there as soon as you got through the curtain to help you, whether you hit a home run, whether you struck out. And someone that really helped me, especially with character and promo work, was Chris Jericho. Because I really liked his WCW work when he called himself the role model, when he had, you know, conspirators after him. And also Tony Khan, obviously, Tony controls everything that's out there. So if he has a character idea or if he wants to help you, he's right there next to you along the way. And Cody helped me a lot with promo work too. So it's again just checking in with these people all the time because they're there to help. They want to text you, they want to call you, they want to help. You just have to ask it. If you don't ask, you're a freaking idiot. I'm sorry. But the DMD thing, it was, so when Jim Ross specifically was always just saying, you know, she's a dentist, and the fans hated it. But when I turned heel, I said, well, I'm really going to lean into that. I'm going to make sure that we say even more, oh, I'm a dentist. And when Justin Roberts would just say DMD, I just did it to be an ass, just DMD to really, you know, reiterate it. And actually saying doctor and DMD before and after, it's redundant. You're saying the same thing twice, but that's intentional. I do that on purpose. And it just caught on, and I didn't even know that fans would start saying it until we had one of the live shows back. And I went to do it after the promo, and the entire crowd did it with me, and I almost like stopped dead in my tracks because I'd done it to dead silence this whole pandemic. So then when they did it with me, it was really cool.
Yeah, and that had to be one of those things that it's just something infectious. I think personally, because it's catchy. You know, we've seen so many superstars before do their versions of it, and when you can do it and you give that response just like they give it back to you, I think there's just an infection that goes through that crowd, and it just strikes like lightning.
I'm fairly certain probably like 80% of them have no idea what DMD means, but it's cool that they're along for the ride and they're chanting and cheering it.
We do. I mean, they don't need to know until they actually go and get their teeth examined, right?
Right, exactly.
So, all right, everybody, we're going to start with the audience questions in just a minute. So if you have a question for Leva or for Dr. Britt Baker, just real quick, do you want to keep it to wrestling questions, or are you willing to take dental questions without charging people?
Whatever you guys want.
All right, so you can line up at that microphone. So just before we get into this, I want to ask, women's wrestling is big right now, and there are a lot of women who need a place to wrestle coming up soon. Is there anybody out there who you would want to bring into AEW that you would be interested in working with?
One that really sticks out to my mind, someone who kind of was a mentor to me on the indies and really guided me, is Ruby. Ruby is somebody that I can't thank enough because she was kind of like my mom. Her and Candice LeRae really looked after me on the indies, but our Northeast Pennsylvania, Ohio crew, so both of them I love dearly.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. Ruby Soho, Heidi, she's going by Ruby Soho now, yeah. I think she's an awesome performer, and I would love to see that match personally.
And I gotta say, Deonna is out there collecting all these belts. Well, then she should try to come for this one then, right?
Well, I mean, you guys already have one Impact champion, so
Right.
you can have two.
Bring her in.
Leva, what about you?
Well, since she took Ruby as an answer, there's two. Mercedes Martinez, I think, is one of the most undisputed best women wrestlers in the world. She's actually one of my mentors as well. So she's good. She's just so solid. She can make a plastic doll look like $1 million. You know what I mean? Like wrestling plus her, she's really good. And then another one, she signed somewhere else, but still one of my favorite people to wrestle of all time is Su Yung. I love wrestling Su Yung. I had so many fun matches with her back in the day, so I miss her a lot.
Oh man, those would be awesome names to bring in. Please tweet them to Tony Khan because he does listen to you. All right, so we're gonna take questions from the audience. Sir, with that shiny championship title, I love it. What's your name?
Ryan.
Brian, what's your question, Brian?
No, Ryan. R-Y-N.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan.
Hey, Britt, what if you had a tag team division and you had championships, what would you go after that? And who would your tag team partner be?
Jamie Hayter. Definitely. I just brought her in because I didn't bring her in for no reason.
Exactly.
So I know what she's capable of. You guys are going to see what she's capable of on Wednesday night Dynamite. Make sure you tune in because she's wrestling Red Velvet. She is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she could go.
Thanks for liking my tweets too.
Who do we have next?
This is Jason. Hey, Britt, Leva, does anybody ever make an appointment at your practice because you're a wrestler or visit your library because you're a librarian?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, does anybody ever visit your library because you're a librarian?
I get asked for book suggestions on a daily basis. So I guess yes, my virtual library.
But Britt, how many people have you seen in your practice that specifically go because you are Dr. Britt Baker, DMD?
Yeah, the number is definitely rising rapidly. I'm getting a lot more fans. Surprisingly, a lot of people are driving from Jacksonville to Orlando because they've been in the crowd for our Jacksonville shows. It's cool though because they're all there. They're not there to just like chat or take a picture, get an autograph. Like they're there for an appointment and get a cleaning, and it's kind of cool because I really am a role model. Like we're improving the oral health because I'm a wrestler and a dentist.
So that's awesome. And when you are and you're doing consults with people who are fans also, are they more likely to follow your advice because they know you from television? Do you feel like?
I don't know. A lot of times they're really nervous. I'm really good at like picking up on when they're a fan or when they're not, and I get really excited when it's a wrestling fan because I know they're there for two reasons and they're excited, and I'm a wrestling fan too, so I put myself in their position. But I think so. I like to think they respect me a little more than the average human because I'm the best. I'm the best in the game right now, so they have to.
You're the best of both worlds. So yeah, no, and personally, as somebody who's had to have extensive dental work recently, I would totally listen to your advice because you are, I'm only gonna say this once, the baddest bitch on the block.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's our next question?
All right, so I don't really have a question, but I just want to thank you guys for just showing younger girls that they can really be anything that they want. I have a 4-year-old and she loves wrestling. She tells me every day, I want to be a wrestler and a police officer, so thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, we have proof up here. You can be two things in this world.
I know.
There are no limits for women now, am I right?
Right. I mean, I had so many people tell me like, at some point you're gonna have to choose. You can't be a wrestler and a dentist. You have to pick one or the other. And that just pissed me off. It fueled my fire so much that I thank all those people now that told me I had to choose one or the other because I think my stubbornness is why I'm doing both right now because I just wanted to prove them wrong.
So when you go home, let them know that the doctor says do both.
Yes, and I'm also a teacher, so it works.
That's awesome. Thank you so much
for your hard
that.
work.
Hi, my name's Jazz, and first thing I wanted to say is thank you for being a part of AEW and coming out every week. Even during the pandemic, it was something to look forward to. It was something that kept me going, kept my friends going, and makes me excited about wrestling again. I feel like a kid again when I watch you guys up there because it's just so much more, I don't know, there's something about it. It's hard to explain. But my question is, you mentioned the inmates kind of running the prison earlier, and I was curious, some of the things in AEW they've got to do because you have more creative control, how that's benefited you, and if you're comfortable answering it, if there's been anything that's been kind of trickier because of it.
So I mean, like our promos are unscripted, so that's like a very sink or swim environment. If you are good in that sense, then this is the place for you. If it's not, then you definitely need to really prepare and get help. And it's not for everyone. Not everyone likes to go out there and just cut promos, but I think that's really an area where it's kind of you toe the line. But as far as having your own creativity, I think we're all wrestling fans. We all know what goes into being a successful actor, what doesn't, because we've seen it throughout the years. I would not be where I am right now if I didn't get to put my own personality, my own sass, my own like stubbornness into Dr. Baker DMD, because I am a heel in real life a little bit.
Huh.
So if I had to go out there and fake it, it wouldn't work. This is the best version of what you're seeing on TV.
And you've got the gold to prove it.
Right.
So actually, before that's a good question. I actually want to bring to Leva, because you came in under the guise of a specific gimmick. How much freedom did you have with that when you started AEW, or were they, you have to do this, you have to carry these books?
Well, at first I kind of trapped it in my own head. Well, I have to be a certain way, I have to do this. This is how a librarian is. And then as time passed and I grew and got comfortable with the character, I got comfortable with Peter, we kind of ended up melding and starting to become a little bit more and kind of growing within the character itself. The little vignettes, the library vignettes when we were investigating, like the Exalted one, that was all my idea. I pitched it. I was like, hey, I want to become like more like Giles, more like the actual librarian show. Instead of us, we may not be the toughest to look at, but we have brains, and let's actually use these brains. So that's kind of a direction I wanted to take, and they were really cool with like letting us go with that and playing with like the whole like who is the Exalted one. So it was kind of fun.
And you bring in clearly that the geek culture touch. I know Cody is a big nerd. But how much of that do you have to rub off on Tony?
Oh no, Tony, this was all Tony's idea, the librarian. He wanted, when it was pitched for the librarian, he wanted a kind of like a genius type character. So we kind of played around with that and then became our own. So yeah, awesome. So he's like a godfather of the librarian.
Awesome. Thanks. Our next question. Thank you, sir.
My name's Jeff, and as AEW grows, where's somewhere you'd like to wrestle next? You're like in a country or city. Is there any goals you're hoping to wrestle in soon?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
As AEW grows, is there like a country or city you're hoping to wrestle in soon at some point?
So Tony has a lot of ties to the UK, so I think any wrestling over there, and that's such a awesome place to wrestle. The UK fans are very special. They're rowdy, they're loud, they like to party and have a good time. So definitely there. Even Japan would be cool because we have a lot of Japanese roots in our wrestling and in our women's division. Kenny, even all the New Japan ties. So I'm ready to go anywhere when it's safe and when we can. Wherever, send me anywhere. I'll take it there. Take this title all over the world.
You ready for that title kick down the Forbidden Door internationally?
Oh, let's do it.
Definitely. Just real quick before, in Shine right now, who would you put that title against? Oh, Shine.
Shine?
Yeah, Japan.
Oh, Stardom.
Stardom. Sorry.
Shine. Oh man, that's it. I don't know. I'm trying to think. So who in Stardom right now? I was always a massive fan of Mayu. I think Mayu was like the best of Stardom, past, present, future. I don't know. I'm gonna. She was always a dream of mine. So that's where I'll keep it.
Definitely. Okay. Next question.
Thank you.
My name is Michael, and the question I have for both of you kind of already just put out your answer just now, but with the rich history of women in wrestling, who would be your all's dream opponent?
So, all-time history.
All time. Well, I think women's wrestling is on fire right now. It's the hottest it's ever been. So I'm gonna go for right now and do some cross-promotional stuff. I think I get tagged the most as a dream match for fans with Charlotte Flair. That's definitely who I get tagged the most. And somebody who I am a massive fan of and who I would love to wrestle, Charlotte, and also Sasha Banks.
The Boss versus the DMD.
Right.
I think the build on that alone would be incredible.
Yeah, there's just so many talented women all over the place. So women's wrestling is to infinity and beyond. It's going to keep growing, and we're gonna keep taking over, showing the boys what's up.
Definitely. Leva, all time, who would you want to face?
And is someone I haven't faced before?
I mean,
Someone I haven't faced before.
let's say haven't faced
Because
all
I know
time.
who I have not wrestled. Bull Nakano.
Nice.
There you go. She still gets in the ring once in a while, right?
All right, thank you, sir.
Honest, I feel like I've wrestled a lot of people in our current scene right now.
Hi, my name's Rick. Britt, I just wanted to ask a couple matches where you got injured and had to ad-lib during those matches. How did those ideas come about?
Yeah, I mean, wrestling is always a calculated risk. You know what you're getting into. You really have to think on the fly, and it's a lot of trust. You have to trust your opponent, trust the ref, and really kind of work together. When I broke my leg, it was a matter of Chris Statlander, get me to the apron so that I can get to Doc Samson right now. When I broke my nose, it was just, you know, telling the ref, I'm okay, let me go, this is gonna be an awesome t-shirt, please just let me keep wrestling right now. And then when I broke my wrist, it was just a matter of, I knew we didn't have that much more time left and just get through it. So you're not alone, you have people helping you and you just need to trust that they're going to be there to help you.
And the nose was probably, there are just gnarly moments in wrestling that you know that are going to be iconic, and they all usually involve blood in one way or another. So as that happened, were you just like, what can I do with this? Like, because this is a once in a lifetime chance, or were you more like?
So you remember that was in front of nobody, because that was during the pandemic in a warehouse in Atlanta. There was maybe three to six people on this side of the ring cheering, 3 to 6 people on this side of the ring. So it was just kind of, I saw the blood pouring onto the ring. I hoped it was as cool as I felt it was, but I didn't really know. So I was like, man, this really hurts if this doesn't look cool. But yeah, you just have to go, you have to just go with it and hope on the other side it came out what you thought it was going to come out as.
Awesome, thank you, sir.
Hi, my name's Luke. So with NWA doing the Empowered Tour, our show, with AEW's Hirsch, are we gonna see more AEW women going to other promotions to mix it up? Maybe doing something with Jordan Grace for that title soon?
So I'm not going anywhere because I'm in the hottest professional wrestling company on the planet, so I don't need to go anywhere. They can come here, and that's fine, but I have no desire to go anywhere because they can all come to us.
Well, I mean, Omega has gone to Impact.
What's that?
It's like Kenny Omega has gone to Impact, so you wouldn't follow suit?
Kenny, everyone has their own different path. I'm the baddest bitch to the block in AEW, and again, if they want to come to me, I welcome them all with open arms. Please step foot in my ring.
Hey, you know Kenny's not a dentist, right? She's got things to do during the week. She's got more than defending that title. But yes, I do kind of agree though that I would love to see you and Jordan Grace tussle.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jordan Grace. We wrestled before many years ago. So that would be a really fun match.
She is powerful as she looks.
Oh yeah, and then some. She's tough.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me good?
Yep.
All right. Just to answer your question that you asked just a second ago about did you think you being all bloodied up looked good? When I saw that myself, I was like, I flashed back to WrestleMania 13, Austin and Hart. When Austin was all bloodied up and the sharpshooter passed out, it was that level. So I can't speak for everybody, but that's what I thought of. But my question for you was, how does it feel to take what was initially considered a stupid gimmick like Isaac Yankem and make it work?
It's what we kind of talked about earlier. It's having creative control. It's like Tony working with us and coming up with something that works for everybody. It's what he wants to present because it's his company. It's something that I'm comfortable doing, and it's something that we're listening to the feedback of the fans.
Right on.
Yeah, with acting, when I was training in school, a lot of times is you have to find the truth in the character, and she really is a dentist. I mean, that is her truth. She is a dentist, so she can draw from that and then take on that and then put her own, personality to that. So that's why I think kind of works, because she really is a dentist.
Yeah, and I think, was there ever a point though where, I mean, you were a wrestling fan, so you knew there had been an Isaac Yankem. Was there ever like a fear of like, oh my God, are people gonna think that this is just that?
Well, I was very vocal about that I didn't want to ever go in that direction, like ever. I just was very confident that was something that I would not be able to pull off. I didn't think that it was something the fans would want. Could be wrong, I don't know. And I just, Tony never wanted that either. Tony Khan, he never envisioned that for me. So we were pretty much on the same page. And when I came to him with the role model idea, he loved it. And from day one, from then on, he just kept contributing his own ideas. I had my ideas. Cody had his ideas. Jericho had his. Kenny had his. It was just like a melting pot of every genius wrestling mind in AEW just helping me and contributing.
Awesome. So one thing before we leave that I did want to ask. So we got the return of CM Punk. Great. There is someone else attached to CM Punk who was a champion in her own right and quite the trailblazer. How would you both feel about the return of AJ Lee, if that was ever possible for AEW?
I was a big AJ Lee fan. One of the first moves I asked my trainer to teach me when I was training was her finisher, the Black Widow. So that'd be really cool. I think again, it's giving the fans what they want. I think the fans to see both of them in a wrestling ring again in 2021, let alone in one that's not WWE, it's evolutionary. That would be such a moment. So for the moment alone, I would love to see her back in the ring. I'd love to see her in the ring with me.
Oh, that would be a main event right there.
I think it'd be cool to have her around, because she's actually a real life geek, and I'm a real life geek. So I think we would have a lot to talk about and hang out about, and be like, oh my God, did you read this? Did you see this? Like, I mean, she has her own D&D book that's just super cool in my brain, because we have our own D&D show. So it'd be cool to have maybe like an appearance or something with her into it. It'd be really, really cool.
And speaking of her and him, I know we said, we don't really do mixed tags, but I could think of a mixed tag that I would like to see involving her, him, me, and somebody else. So
I wonder who that could be. But I think, look, we would all shell out all our credit cards on this table right now to see that. So, you have a lot of pull being the champion, so let's get Tony on the ball on this.
Well, we gotta get a lot of people involved for that, but we'll start tomorrow.
Right on. So, just before we leave, I do want to say thank you both for coming to this show. Kansas City loves having you here. Please enjoy the rest of the weekend. And everybody, you gotta tune in Wednesday night, you gotta tune in Friday night. There's too much wrestling on TV, but there's not enough good wrestling. So remember, Wednesdays and Fridays, Dynamite, Rampage, ladies and gentlemen, Leva Bates and Dr. Britt Baker. Do it one more time. DMD!
Thank you, guys.